Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a very special and weird live edition of the Big at the Back podcast. I am Tom. I am joined once again, unfortunately, by Matthew Higgins. Matt, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. It's a long weekend, a nice 4 days off. The sun is shining, and unlike Graham Potter, I still have a job. So there's plenty of reasons to be happy. And even better, it's not working with you.
Yeah, that's true. You actually are an employed man. I mean, I was trying to get you a job, but just because I wanted to do you a favor. Really, I didn't actually want you. So this is a blessing in disguise for both of us.
Everyone wins.
Now, we're doing this one a little bit differently. Hi, Simon. Good morning. We are, for the first time ever, streaming live. So you can get to see how stupid and ridiculous our opinions are in real time, not just as pre-recorded, edited out debauchery. So how exciting. Matt, are you nervous?
No, because I couldn't care less. If nervous would imply that I actually give a shit. So
I mean, I wish you didn't give so much of a shit because you beat me on FPL this week and I'll never forgive you for it. So,
well, yeah, it makes a nice change though, doesn't it?
No, it's Simon coming in strong saying he's glad he doesn't have to work with Matt. So thank you, Simon. That makes us all feel better. Now, before we get into any FPL, what the hell is happening in the Premier League?
It's the managerial merry-go-round is back. Let's all jump on board.
16 manager sackings so far this season, and we've still got 8 games to go.
What is it? De Zerbi is the 11th longest serving manager in the Premier League, and he was appointed in September.
It's incredible, isn't it? And Fat Frank is back at Chelsea. I mean, who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, and then there could be another one coming soon if West Ham lose at Fulham tomorrow. It sounds as though Moyes will be gone as well, so that could be unlucky number 13. But I mean, Frank being back, it is funny, but I think it makes sense just as a short-term stopgap, because if they couldn't get someone in now that is the long-term plan, why not? They're not going to get relegated. They're not going to make Europe. It's just try and get a new bit of a bounce with someone that obviously is a club legend and everyone likes.
Everyone likes being the key point there. I think Frank Lampard is such an impressive definition of failing upwards.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has failed upwards so well in a long, not since Scott Parker at least.
But he never really failed upwards. He failed sideways.
Yeah, but I mean, if anything, he fell backwards from Fulham to Bournemouth. But I digress. Frank Lampard is an incredibly bad football manager. However, I would love nothing more than to watch him win the Champions League and get a 4-year deal with Chelsea.
Yeah, well.
Stephen's pointed out that Chelsea are in the title run still. So for anyone that didn't see it, Frank Lampard came out and said, Chelsea are still in the title race. It's not over. Bearing in mind that Chelsea are 33 points off the top of the table with 9 games to go, making it mathematically impossible for Chelsea to be in the title race.
Yeah, but what if other teams get points deductions? Have you factored that in?
I can't say I have, but I don't think Frank has either, truth be told.
I mean, Reading just got a 6-point deduction this week, so I know they're not in the Premier League title race, but it's not impossible.
Hey, don't you dare rule them out of the Premier League title. Once you're in at Reading are too. But yeah, absolutely crazy. I think the weirdest thing was, do you think Potter would ever have worked at Chelsea? Because I haven't been his biggest fan from the start. As you know, I always liked Potter, but I did call out that he was not deserving of the Chelsea role. He shouldn't have got the chance at a big club like Chelsea, given his record. What did you make of it all?
I think Potter and Chelsea are a bit like chalk and cheese in that Potter's philosophy and what he's done well at Brighton was bringing through sort of relatively unknown players, moulding them in his vision and putting a good squad together that work well together, and he can sort of trust them all to do their individual jobs. Chelsea is the complete opposite end of that spectrum and go out and spend as much money as possible, get in superstar names, and then try and make them work together on the pitch. So like I think Potter is a good coach. He was obviously helped a lot by the recruitment team at Brighton, which have done a fantastic job and still continue to do a fantastic job under De Zerbi. I don't know if he didn't deserve the Chelsea job. You said he's never won anything, but that's what managers do. They start off in smaller clubs, they prove themselves, they do well, and then they get a chance at big clubs. Not many managers, someone like a Brighton, are going to win the Premier League or the FA Cup or the League Cup. But what you do is you impress people enough to be given that chance. And that's what happens with other managers.
Brendan Rodgers won a cup, just saying.
Yeah, but he's been at big clubs before.
Yeah,
Liverpool, if you want to call them a big club.
Didn't he win a cup with Leicester? Didn't he win the FA Cup?
Yeah, he won the FA Cup.
Yeah, so Brendan Rodgers to Chelsea. I'm calling it. Brendan Rodgers is the successful manager Chelsea need.
Oh, God.
I think
that would make you very happy, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. I think Graham Potter is the perfect man for Leicester. I think the way they run the club, the way they recruit, the way they try and work long term, I think he is perfect. And they've still got some very, very good players there that we'll come on to in a little bit. Let's talk then about FPL. And you've had a bit of a better week than me. So talk me through your results.
Just about. It was very tight. Broke the 100-point mark. Just finished on 103, which for a wildcard week is not too bad. Like green arrow overall, but what goes to show is like the mini leagues that I'm in are fucking tough, where like in 5 of my mini leagues I've got red arrows, having broken the 100-point barrier. But yeah, so stealing goal with 10, not bad. Chilwell 9, Trippier 14, Emerson 5, and Ben Mee with 3. Emerson, the only West Ham defender that played in both games to not end up in double figures, so that could have gone a lot better. Midfield 4, Bowen 8, Rashford captain with 24, Mitoma 14, and Saka with just the 1. The 1 point coming off the bench, which blocked Martinelli coming off my bench with 5, which would have been a nice little boost. And then Kane up front on 7 with Isaac, who finished on 8. So yeah, not too bad, like decent enough. But how did you go? Because you weren't quite as good.
Yeah, so I took a bit of a risk with the goalkeeper position on the basis of I thought Bournemouth had looked quite strong defensively. So I actually went for Neto. Their fixtures aren't bad. I think they look quite good defensively. And worst case scenario, surely he's going to rack up loads of save points if Bournemouth start really conceding loads of shots. Turns out that was not the case. So, I guess that's...
You definitely overthought that.
Yeah, right. That's kind of getting in my own head a bit. So Neto with 4 points, Estupinian, Trippier, and Shaw at the back. Bruno Fernandes being rubbish with 4. Rashford with 12. I captained Mitoma, which was a good call because he got 14 double to 28. Then Maddison letting me down with 4 as well. McAllister, Isaac, and Kane with 9, 8, and 7. I feel a bit aggrieved that Rashford did as well as he did. After his blank, I think he should have been on to get another 2 or 3 points at most, and that would have made my rank much, much better because I took the risk in going outside of Rashford captain. Problem is, it only equated to about a 2-point difference, so it's negligible. I feel like I should have been rewarded more for that given Matoma's performances.
Oh, bless. You should have been rewarded. No, grow up. This is a man's game.
I'd also like to pick Simon Grant in the chat with his top 5 picks for this week. I thought they were all going to be brilliant picks, but then he's picked 2 rubbish ones at the end. So his first 3, which are brilliant, are Darwin Nunez, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Eddie Nketiah. Quality, top class, get them in. And then he's gone for Chilwell and Estupinian. Boring, rubbish, high ownership. No one wants them.
Well, I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain is an absolute baller. So
he's not. I can't wait for him to go to West Ham at the end of the season.
Yeah, that is peak West Ham signing.
It's the most West Ham signing you can think of, is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Oh God, yeah. I think the problem, like with the Mitoma, like not the problem with the Mitoma captaincy, because obviously it worked out. Yeah, you were probably feeling by the end of Sunday, you were feeling very smug, I imagine. But yeah, that Rashford goal against Brentford really did just. I breathed a huge sigh of relief when I saw it, because it sort of clawed me back up a little bit with the Rashford captaincy. The one thing I did have going for me this week, which worked out in my favour, was the last minute switch from Maddison to Bowen.
Yeah, Maddison with 4 points in 2 home games is a real letdown.
But then again, that's the Brendan Rodgers way, I guess.
Yeah, completely. I also just came to the realization of Simon Grant's hidden messages. So Nunez, Oxlade-Chamberlain,
Nice,
Nketiah, Chilwell, Estupinian. If you take the first letter of every single word,
fair. Well played.
Well played. We'll take that. We'll take that on the chin. We also last week had a bit of a joke about my first draft to a wildcard team that Matt started laughing at when I said was good. When I said it was a really strong wildcard team.
Hang on, you were the one that started laughing. It was all on you.
To give some context, I got 98 points that week. If I hadn't have listened to Matt's advice and changed the team, I would have ended on 103. That had Steele, it had Face, it had Trippier, Emerson, Salah. Yeah, I'm feeling quite distraught that you took me out of that premium team.
I'm sorry, but that is just hilarious. And if you think that you ever should have listened to my advice, then that's on you, I'm afraid.
I think I'd probably look better for the next few weeks with the team I've got now, so I've got no problem. Wout Face, quite possibly the most incredible defensive player in the world. I mean, since returning from his suspension, Leicester, with Face playing, have given up 47 chances in 2 games.
That is an unreal stat, to be fair.
It's absolutely incredible. And I think he is... No one thinks it's working, right? No Leicester fans think that's working. Surely everyone realises it's a joke by now.
Like, the thing with Rodgers' time at Leicester, I think overall they'll look back and say it was probably a success. Like we said, they won the FA Cup. They had a couple of seasons in and around Europe. They got very deep in the Europa Conference League in the inaugural season. So I think it's just one of those where it was time for both parties to end it. And whoever comes in there they're going to have a challenge because the money is not flowing there at the moment. You're going to imagine Maddison's going to be off in the summer because he's going into the last year of his contract. So how you replace him is key, if even get the funds to replace him. But hey, as long as they keep Iheanacho, they got a chance.
Exactly. Iheanacho is the one thing that's going to keep them up. I actually think Leicester, more than anyone, will benefit from a new manager bounce, even if it's just temporary. Have they got someone to come in? Do we know who's taking charge of them this weekend?
Not yet. It's just the caretaker, Andy someone, I think, who was in charge on Tuesday night as well.
Yeah, not got high hopes for them. Shall we look at how we're lining up for this week then and what our plans are? Because this week is a classic FPL game week. I'm happy with it because it's just Saturday and Sunday. That's it.
This is proper football. An early game on Saturday, 6 3:00 games, a late game, and then 2 games on Sunday. This is a proper weekend of football. Plus, if you're a gambling man, which I'm not, obviously, you've got a full round of Football League fixtures today and a full round of Football League fixtures on Monday. So, and if you're a real badger like me when it comes to betting, you've got the Masters on all weekend. So just go and spend all your money on golf.
Yeah, I think some of us might have already spent too much money on the Masters betting on all of Bet365 boosts. I also have terrible news that I haven't told you yet that I'm revealing to you live. My 100% darts betting record ended yesterday.
Oh, on that boost?
Yeah. I saw it. I had £5 free from Bet365, so I was like, I'm just going to throw it on the boost. Lost. My 100% darts betting record is over. We should all weep.
I thought you were going to say that the terrible news is that Darius is still dead.
Darius is still dead. Why was that live?
We've got a good bit. So there's me and 6 other friends from football. We're all going round one of them to watch the golf on Sunday afternoon, and we all put a tenner in for a betting fund for the weekend. One of those bets is we each picked a golfer to finish in the top 20. So that's 7 golfers to finish in the top 20, which is fairly difficult, I'd guess. But they've had a good day one, so we've got 20 quid on it, and the current cash out is 80 after day one. But if it comes in, we win a sweet 1.3 grand. So that'd be nice.
So that'd be free money.
Yeah, but it won't happen. Someone will let it down.
Yeah, straight to the pub though with that, regardless of whether you win or lose.
Anyway, FPL.
Sorry. You need to have already spent your winnings before you know if it's won. That's how.
Yes, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
Excellent.
I do like when you see people on Twitter like getting in touch with Bet365, obviously joking about things, because yesterday morning Bet365 was down for maintenance, and someone tweeted them like, "Oh, cheers! I need to get my kids' food money for the weekend, so now I can't get a bet on, so I can't feed my kids." And they're like, "Can you DM us your username, please?"
Yeah, they've got to take stuff like that seriously, though. Some people are serious, but yeah. Let's talk about FPL then. How are you lining up for this classic weekend of football?
So I am currently no transfers. I'm looking like I'm going to roll it over. I don't think I really need to. The only thing I do want to try and do, I could do, is get Ollie Watkins in, but I would have to take a hit for that. So I think I'm going to stay with the current squad, which is Iverson in goal, a back three of Trippier, Zinchenko and Chilwell, midfield for Mitoma, Saka, Martinelli and Rashford, and then Kane, Isak and Haaland as my captain up top, which leaves me Steele, Bowen, Emerson and me on the bench, which not a bad rounded squad, I don't think.
Who's your bench, sorry?
Steele, and then Bowen, Emerson and me. Not in that order necessarily.
That's arguably bench boost territory.
Double.
I don't know. I think as far as single game weeks go, that's a very, very strong bench.
Yeah, it is, but I'm saving that for the doubles coming later down the line in 34 probably.
Fair enough. Well, I've done a transfer this morning. I saw Luke Shaw was out. Plus, he was absolutely rubbish on the weekend. So I thought, actually, I can save some money here. I've gone Shaw to Dallo as my only transfer. Dallo racks up bonus points when he plays anyway. He's really good and he's cheap. So my squad is currently Neto in goal and Iverson on the bench. I'm probably going to start Neto after the two. Then
not again, Tom. Not again.
It will come good.
Leicester, new manager bounce.
New manager bounce. Then Stones, Trippier, and Dallo at the back. Then across the middle, Maddison, Fernandez, Rashford, and Mitoma. Then up top, Kane, Haaland's captain, and Isak. Haaland is back in training. Even if Haaland only gets 30 minutes, this Southampton side are utter garbage. Haaland could get 5. And so many people don't have him that if you've got Haaland, you need to go all in on him. My bench at the moment is Iverson, McAllister, Zinchenko, and Estupinian. So again, a strong bench, but not really bench boost territory. Although Spurs don't normally do well against Brighton, it is at Spurs and there's no Caicedo in the middle. So I'm thinking that it's probably going to be quite a high scoring game.
I don't know. I feel like, I think it might have been 2 years ago. Maybe it was last season. I can't remember. There was a 0-0 at Spurs. Brighton just sort of held on for 90 minutes. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough game to call. Spurs are just so hot and cold at the moment, aren't they? That you just never really know what to do with any of them. But I mean, Kane's the only one you can realistically have. They just do nothing to excite me. But I don't know. Brighton just in that form at the moment where you can imagine that any game they could go out and put in a great performance.
Brighton had, I think, 15 shots on target against a good Brentford side. And the way Brighton are playing at the moment, they're just creating so many chances. If you're a Solly March owner, you're desperately unlucky because he's been dodging points left, right, and centre. It's been ridiculous. He and Chilwell actually should have absolutely run rampant this weekend, and neither of them did. But with Brighton, the one picking up the points is Matoma, not March. So do you go head and go Matoma, or do you go heart and go for the haul and go for March? With their blank coming up in 32, but then the double in 34 and again in 37, I think if you've got the free hit like me, you need to be trebled up and all in on Brighton. If you haven't, then you need to be really thinking about how you're going to work your team so you can have Brighton players in. That could mean dropping a Rashford at some point as well.
That's a tough one. Like that. Yeah, obviously, if you've got the free hit, you can load up as much as possible. I'm in a different boat where I don't. But these next two fixtures aren't easy. Spurs, like I say, you never know. And then Chelsea under Fat Frank, we'll see what's going to happen there. But that could be a slight. I'd say it's a more difficult prospect now than it was this time last week.
I don't think I would go near any Chelsea players from now.
Oh, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't at all. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that is now a tougher fixture for Brighton.
Is it though?
Probably, because it just feels as though...
Who's a better defensive coach, Lampard or Potter?
Neither of them. Probably Potter, but I feel like it's not necessarily like in this period. It's not necessarily about the coaching. I don't think that's making any difference. I think it's more about the atmosphere around the club, and I think it will be a lot better now than it was, like I say, this time last week.
Yeah, I agree with that. Although
I saw something so there was someone posted on Reddit about a month ago, saying who are you going with between Watkins and Havertz. And I commented on it, obviously, saying Watkins all day long, Havertz is a terrible footballer, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on. And I got so much stick on that. And in the 4 weeks since, yes, Havertz has scored 2 penalties, but Watkins has just been scoring goals for fun. So just wanted to take this moment to remind everyone that Kai Havertz is still a terrible footballer. Missed a fucking massive chance the other night where it was scored, but with his arm, only should have buried it first time. So that's what you get for being shit, mate.
Well, the problem with Kai Havertz is he's not
shit.
Really a striker or a false nine. He's like a wandering drunk looking for Skittles across a field of horse shit. Like he's not a footballer. He's not anything. He's just in a class of his own. Still better than João Felix, though.
No. See, the thing is, Felix actually looks like a good player when he gets on the ball. Havertz looks like a fucking donkey.
Tell us how you really feel about Havertz. No, we're actually going to hold ourselves back a little bit at the moment because we don't feel like being exceptionally rude.
I'm going to sit firmly on this fence.
Ollie Watkins has been awesome. So he's kind of the form player at the moment in FPL. They've got a really nice fixture, and Ollie Watkins is the one player that's really going to hurt me this week, I think, because they've got Nottingham Forest at home. Forest, terrible away. However, I know that if I move heaven and earth to get Ollie Watkins in this week, he'll get injured within 5 minutes. So when he does well, you're welcome, because it's because I didn't bring him in.
Yeah, like, it's so annoying. I've got one transfer, I've got 0.3 in the bank. And the logical move would be Isak to Watkins, but that's 0.8, so I'd be half a mil short. Then I'd be looking at taking a hit, maybe dropping, I don't know, Saka. But would I want to do that? And who would I get in for him? I'm still thinking about it. We'll see. Watch this space.
Who else is in your midfield?
Saka, Martinelli, Mitoma, Rashford and Bowen.
Is Jared Bowen undroppable?
No, not at all. But then I've got the problem of who do I put into that 11? Because Saka's currently starting. Who do I then bench? Yeah, it's a headache, and it's going to be a tough decision. Maybe I just stick and roll my transfer and then just hope that Watkins blanks. I just hope beyond all hope.
Also, Isak is really good. Like, let's not forget, he came off the bench, scored against West Ham. He looked awesome in the game before. He scored 2 in the game before that. He's still a really, really good option, and he could definitely do well against Brentford.
The worry is Wilson as well, though, there now, because Wilson scored 3 in his last 2.
Yeah, but Isak scored 3 in his last 3. So I don't know. Isak, for me, is a hold at the moment. And then you've got Kane and Haaland up top as well. I'm in the same boat as you, though. I'm thinking let's just stick the armbands on Haaland and hope that Watkins doesn't go wild.
I think it's the sensible move. Probably the less fun move, but
I don't think, from experience, and I know it's different now, but experience over many years, owning Ollie Watkins is not fun.
True. I mean, I'm just looking 6-2, 8-5, 17 are his last 5 game weeks. But surely that can only go downhill. That's what I think anyway. This sort of form is not sustainable.
Well, his next game is Forest at home, but then it's Newcastle at home and then Brentford away. Then it's Fulham at home, but they're playing well. Then it's Manu away. Okay, he could bang then. His fixtures are good. They're not brilliant. I think there's better options longer term than Watkins, and I think you're potentially booking a transfer him.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm worried. I'm worried he gets a hat-trick this weekend.
Go Darwin Nunez instead.
No,
Arsenal at home.
Absolutely not.
Shall we talk about Manchester United? Because without Casemiro, they just look lost at sea.
I mean, well, they did keep a clean sheet on Wednesday night, so it's not all doom and gloom. I do think Sabitzer is a decent replacement, but he's not obviously at the same level as Casemiro. He does a job. McTominay has done all right when he's come in. I mean, when he plays for Scotland, he becomes prime Frank Lampard, making late runs into the box and scoring 2 goals against Spain. But he's obviously not there to do that same job for United. Their fixtures, the next 2 are good: Everton at home and Forest away. So I don't know. I don't think you can really. You've got to have Rashford still. He's had a slight blank spell, but obviously bounced back with a goal this week. And Everton at home feels like a juicy fixture at the moment. I know Daesh can be a bit of a pain in the arse as a manager when you come up against him, but I think this could be a good game to have Rashford. If it weren't for Haaland coming back from an injury, I would be toying with Rashford captaincy.
Oh, I'd definitely be a Rashford if it wasn't for Haaland coming back. However, outside of that, I've also got Bruno Fernandes, who's playing really, really deep. And it was always a bit of a risk, but when he's good, he's really good. But that's just too infrequent at the moment. And I guess my problem is I can't drop him. The next 2 games are Everton and Forest. Then it's a blank, but I'm free hitting anyway. Then it's another game. Then it's the double. So I'm kind of stuck with Bruno for the next 5 weeks or so, no matter what. Another player that I think is worth mentioning, just to highlight the I told you so, is Anthony. He's played pretty much every game he's been available for, and he's still yet to record a single assist in the Premier League or at all for Manchester United. He's probably the most selfish professional footballer I've ever seen, and he can't shoot. So
the thing is, you know what he's going to do. He's going to cut back in on that left foot and try and whip it in the far corner. And I saw him try it at least 3 times against Brentford, and every time he put it wide or over. And in a couple of those occasions, there was a good ball on, like a square pass or a ball to the back post or something. He's so greedy. I think, again, whenever a player comes in from abroad, I like to give them time because, like,
season.
Yeah, I think a season for some players isn't enough. Like, it can take 2 years to settle in. So will he come good? I don't know. He's been poor so far. They've got. I think he's kind of lucky that there's not a lot of competition there at the moment because Rashford, Weghorst hasn't. I think Weghorst does a job for United. He's not there to score goals, really. He's there to play the ball off to the likes of Rashford and whoever's on the other wing, if it's Anthony or Sancho or even Martial, if he's coming back in. So Anthony benefits from that. If rumours are to believe that United are going to go in big for Kane this summer, that's a scary prospect, I think, with Kane, Rashford, and then if Anthony comes into form, maybe. But whoever else would be on that wing, I don't know.
The chat's saying Anthony is a less talented Riyad Mahrez. I think you're not giving Riyad Mahrez any credit there. I think Riyad Mahrez has been a really, really top class player for about 5 or 6 years. Anthony isn't just less talented; he's much less talented to the point where he's not even in the same ballpark. I'm a big fan of Riyad Mahrez, so yeah, I can't give that. I think that's giving Anthony too much credit.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Mahrez, they're slightly different players. Where Anthony is more like a pace merchant, whereas Mahrez, I think, is more technical. But yeah, they're both left footers, play on the right, want to cut back inside at every opportunity. I feel like Mahrez actually does go down the outside onto his right foot sometimes, whereas Anthony just never does. He is that Arjen Robben mould of always do the same thing, but Robben did it much better.
Yeah, the problem was with Arjen Robben, you just couldn't stop him doing it. The way he positioned himself, he was completely impossible to stop. Whereas with Anthony, it's very easy to just get yourself in the way. So yeah, 90 million well spent from Manchester United. If it wasn't for Chelsea going completely ludicrous in the transfer market, I think there'd be a lot more attention on Anthony's signing for Manchester United, because 90 million for a guy that shouldn't be in their team. And then they had Jadon Sancho last year, who Manchester United ruined as well. He's been there, a year and a half, 2 years now, and he's still not performed well at all. So yeah, I think that's a real problem area. I think assuming they get new owners, the first things they'll be doing is getting a new striker, probably Harry Kane, which is going to be brilliant, but then a new winger as well. And it's got to be someone that can gel properly with Kane and Rashford, because Anthony and Sancho just aren't up to standard.
I don't think they'd be able to get Harry Kane, though, because Spurs fans will tell you he's one of their own.
One of their own. The boyhood Arsenal fan who went on a 6-month strop for not being allowed to go to City. One of their own, guys. Oh, this is
delusional.
This is why people don't like Spurs fans. Another club to talk about, because I don't want to talk about them. I really don't, but they're really important in FPL at the moment. Liverpool.
Are they really important in FPL at the moment?
If you don't have a free hit, I think Liverpool are really important, because they play in game week 32 when lots of other teams blank. Plus, they have a double in game week 34. What that means is if you've got a Mo Salah, if you've got Cody Gakpo, if you've got a Trent or a Robertson, you're holding them, even though Liverpool at the moment are absolute guff when they're playing football. They're terrible. I still think they're a hold and you need to keep them. So I think Liverpool, because of the fixtures coming up, are important, and I hate it.
I'm lucky, so I don't have my free hit, but I currently have in my squad 4 outfield players that don't play in 32. So I can easily get around that. Maybe I bring in a Liverpool player for that week, like potentially a Chilwell out for Robertson, if I've got the funds by then, because I will have plenty of transfers between now and then. So I'm lucky enough. Like you say, it's a good fixture in 32 in theory, being Forest at home, but I don't know with Liverpool anymore.
Yeah, we thought Forest last time was a good fixture, and they actually played Liverpool off the park, didn't they?
Right at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, in 34 though, it's 2 home fixtures against Tottenham and Fulham. So I don't know. I think as far as FPL goes, Liverpool are a very important side moving forward. So if you've got a Mo Salah, you're holding him. If you've got a Trent Alexander-Arnold, you're holding him. Is there anyone else that we should be considering, do you think?
It's hard with Liverpool at the moment. I mean, I know obviously they made a lot of changes on was it Tuesday, wasn't it? We played Chelsea. So no Salah, there was no Trent, there was no Robertson, there was no Van Dijk. So you'd imagine they'll all be coming back in fresh. So for these next couple of weeks, like, you can always try and make an argument for Nunez, but it just seems so inconsistent that it's hard to make a good argument for him.
He's also not guaranteed stars. And I think Liverpool's front players, their attacking players, Mo Salah is the only one that's guaranteed starts, because alongside that, you've got Cody Gakpo, you've got Darwin Nunez, you've got Diogo Jota. If Luis Diaz is back, I'm bringing him in for 34 for that double, 100%. And
Do we know how far away he is from being back?
Apparently he's in training.
That's interesting. That is one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Luis Diaz could be absolutely excellent for us. So I am very much keeping an eye on him, and I would like to have Luis Diaz in my team soon. And honestly, James Maddison, if he doesn't perform this week, could be next on the chopping block for me. So that will be a really easy transfer. But I think in the context of the next few weeks, Liverpool, especially if you're not on a free hit in 32, are a team we need to look at. Another
depressing, but yeah, you're right.
Another team to look at are Manchester City. So the next two games coming up are Southampton away and Leicester at home. Two very easy games before they blank in 32. Then in 33, they have a reasonable game of Arsenal at home, but that's going to be a title decider essentially. So they're going to be really up for that. And let's be honest, I would probably fancy Man City to win that game. Then they've got a double of Fulham away and West Ham at home, which is just Erling Haaland triple captain territory if you haven't used it. And for me, it's bench boost territory. As I'm going to be bench boosting, I'm going to have 3 Manchester City. I think the ones worth talking about at the moment are Riyad Mahrez and Jack Grealish. Phil Foden's just had his appendix out, so he's not going to be back for Pep said a few weeks, but I'll be amazed if it's less than a month. So I think they are probably the 2 wing players. Julian Alvarez looks really good, but I think Mahrez and Grealish have their spots to lose at the moment. What are your thoughts around them?
I agree in theory, but I just never trust Pep. So like, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know, fucking throws Rico Lewis up on the right wing or something, just to wind you up a bit. But I think I'll probably go Haaland, one of Mahrez or Grealish, and I'll probably go for a defender as well because I think they're a little bit more set in stone. Then again, I'm saying this, I'll be proven wrong, won't I?
I don't know if that was intentional, set in stone.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Set in John Stones.
Yeah. Well, I actually have John Stones in my team at the moment. He's moving up into a central mid as well position, which means he's getting forward for every set piece at the moment. Southampton are terrible at defending set pieces, so I'm really hoping I can get some attacking.
It also means that if he's getting up and receiving balls and playing them off, that's bonus points territory.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think John Stones is the one to own. I'm considering, and it won't happen for a few weeks yet, but I'm considering trebling up on City and actually having 2 of them being defenders. If you look at my defenders at the moment, it's Stones, Trippier, Dalot, Estupinian, and Zinchenko. I could lose Zinchenko for an Ake or an Akanji, depending on who's regularly starting for that double. It's not something immediate, but something I'm considering at the moment.
No, that's not a bad shout at all. You've got to be tripled up on City through this run-in, I think, especially like you've got the free hit. Next 2 fixtures are good. Fixture after the blank is tough, but you can ride that out, and it's a great double. You probably couldn't ask for a much better double.
Well, you could play Liverpool twice, but
well, yeah, there is that. If they're playing West Ham twice, fuck me.
Then Liverpool and West Ham, there you go, done.
Yeah, there we go.
I think the way to look at it is if you're chasing points and you want to take a bit more of a risk, I think you go Riyad Mahrez. If you want to hold rank and just go with the safe option but still a strong option, you go Jack Grealish. Grealish, by the way, was absolutely awesome against Liverpool. He was absolutely everywhere. So he's a really good option. We've been asked, before we finish, can we give our favourite sub 6 million players for this week? I think in defence, there's pretty much everyone is sub 6 million, but I like John Stones for City, obviously. Midfield, I think, is very interesting because it's going to be dependent on your team. So before I go into the options, Matt, what do you think?
Obviously, Mitoma is always a shout because of the form that he's in at the moment. So he's hard to overlook. I know it's not the best fixture, but he's probably going to be your top pick.
Oh, you've got to, right? Just on Mitoma, in his last 13 games, he's returned 11 times. or in 11 of those last 13 games, sorry, including some very big hauls against the likes of West Ham and Bournemouth, etc. So Matoma is doing something for you every single game. Players that do that are normally 10 million plus. So I think Matoma is an absolute steal even now.
Yeah, and you know who else would be back in with a shout if it wasn't for Mitrovic's injury? Andreas Pereira would always be a shout. They've got West Ham, which it's a big game for West Ham at the moment, and he's on set pieces, so he's always in with a shout. But with that Mitrovic suspension, probably rules him out.
Yeah, I think he's ruled out with the Mitrovic suspension. I generally think Brighton midfielders are a great shout. Solly March looks like he should be getting loads and loads of points every week. He just hasn't for some reason, but it will drop eventually. Losing my words here. McAllister looks great as well.
I'll tell you who's a rogue shout. He's returned in his last 2 games. Emiliano Buendia, Forest at home.
Would you go Buendia or would you go Leon Bailey? Because he plays further up the field.
Yeah, either or. But
Buendia
is actually getting returns at the moment, whereas Bailey isn't.
I think it's a risk-reward strategy. I think if you really want to take the risk, you go Bailey. If you want to play it a bit safer, you go Buendia. In the forward slots, I said it a few weeks ago. I don't think Johnson for Nottingham Forest is a terrible shout.
No, he's not. He is their outlet. So if anything's going to happen for them, it's going to be probably through him. So he's probably the best shout. The other option, I know he's not technically sub 6 million because he's 6, is Julian Alvarez, but obviously you don't know what his game time's going to be like. I'd imagine he'll get some game time because I don't think Haaland plays 90. But
can I tempt you with Mateta?
You could always tempt me with Mateta or Edouard any day of the week. You know me.
Well, Mateta got a really nice goal in the last minute to beat Leicester, and they were the better team. Their next 5 fixtures for Crystal Palace are Leeds, Southampton, Everton, Wolves, and West Ham. So I think there's goals in all of them.
What a time to sack your manager just before that run and bring in fucking Roy Hodgson.
I probably think if you're looking at Palace, I'm actually considering maybe moving Neto on for...
It's a terrible decision. It's a terrible choice. Don't do it.
I feel like, though, I'm dug in with Neto. I've made my bed. I've got to sleep in it. But if Iverson doesn't play anymore, then I'm setting up for the bench boost. I can move Iverson onto Guatia because I think Palace's fixtures are very, very good.
One more striker worth mentioning in the sub 6 million category is Evan Ferguson. I know, again, their fixtures aren't fantastic, but he looks very good and the players around him are making things happen, so he's going to get chances. Yeah,
I completely agree. We touched on this already. Captaincy options for this week. I have the armband on Haaland. Now, there is injury worries. I do also think Kevin De Bruyne, if you somehow still got him, is a brilliant option as well. They are terrible, terrible, terrible Southampton at defending set pieces. De Bruyne is on set pieces. It could just be let's not overthink this. Let's keep it simple. Give it to De Bruyne. I think that's a really good option for this week.
You have been spending so much time over the last sort of 2 months saying De Bruyne's rubbish. He's not getting any returns. He just looks like a man going for a walk in the park.
Then I got Bruno. I realised,
Yeah, those in glass houses and all that. I think, if you've got Haaland, he's the man, isn't he? Let's be honest. I think the only sort of competition I would say for him is Rashford.
Yeah, Rashford with Everton at home, and Everton not as good on the road. Marcus Rashford has been in awesome form since the World Cup, really. I think that's a really easy option, I guess. I think there's also an outside shout for Bukayo Saka as well. Or a guy we haven't spoken about, Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jesus, I don't think he's necessarily captaincy material, but I think he makes other Arsenal players more tempting as a captain. I think he makes other players like Saka and Martinelli around him get more chances, just in the way he holds the ball up and plays it off, and he lets them run in behind him, which Nketiah doesn't really do as much. He likes to be the man getting in behind. So, him being back, I think, makes Martinelli a better shout if he's going to be playing. But obviously, the Trossard-Martinelli debate still rages on, and I think he does make Saka a better shout as well.
Yeah, I mean, Gabriel Jesus will certainly be my captain in game week 32. To give you some perspective, Arsenal play Southampton at home. I think Jesus, assuming he's on penalties, by the way, because it looks like, well, Saka wasn't on the pitch, but Jesus did take the penalty and scored it. So you'd imagine if Jesus is on penalties, he's going to be my captain for 32 when I free him.
I'm going to captain Jared Bowen that week.
What's Ham got? Bournemouth away. Oh. I mean, against the mighty Neto, I don't think Jared Bowen's going to. Arsenal's last 2 games as well, when they could be title deciders for them, are Forest away and Wolves at home. I think you're considering City have 2 tough games in the last 2. Jesus and
City. Do they?
Chelsea at home and Brentford away. I'd say they're tough games. I mean, maybe not Chelsea, but Brentford away, definitely.
Are we looking at the same Man City here?
Am I getting this wrong? Yeah,
Man City, sorry. I'm on 35. I'm not at the end. I'm on game week 35 and 36.
Did you think it was Leeds and Everton?
Yeah.
So in 37, City have Chelsea at home. In 38, Brentford away. So I think those 2 weeks you captain Arsenal.
That game week 38 is always a fucking... Something ridiculous always happens.
Yeah, that was a very classic. You always captain Mane week. It's the 1 week you get Sadio Mane in and you captain him and see.
Or you just whoever is in the golden boot race, just put the belt like the captain's armband on him because some like they're just. I know there is no race this year, so it's pointless.
Well, you never know. Haaland's really out of form at the moment with 8 goals in his last 2 games. So clearly, there's a golden boot race on.
Kane's in the golden boot race, like Chelsea are in the title race.
Well, Ivan Toney as well, 17 goals on the season.
Yeah, what a baller.
Kane.
Yeah, but their last 2 games, Spurs away, City at home. Ouch.
Yeah, indeed. Cool. Well, look, that's probably all we have time for this week. It's a bit of a weird episode, but it's been fun having people commenting, particularly people with hidden messages. But look, come and chat to us on Twitter. You can find us at Big at the Back.
Yeah, you can find Tom at Tom Madden 92, and I'm at Higgins 92. Have a good long weekend, everyone. It should hopefully be a sunny one. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Get lots of beers in as well.
We have one more question. Who is your favourite FPL player for the rest of the season? Not the one who you think will be best, but your favourites.
Now, I'm going to say in their early doors, Alexander Isak.
Love it. I've got Isak. I love him as well. However, I'm going to go really risky with this answer. Kalichi Iheanacho.
Right, if you say that and don't get him in, you can't say that and then not have him in your team.
Leicester have Wolves, Leeds, Everton, Fulham, then Liverpool and Newcastle, actually. Then West Ham last game. Oh, that's Iheanacho captain. West Ham at home, last game of the season. It's mainly just because I love Iheanacho, but I think he's a potential option, guys. Calling it now. Get Iheanacho in. I've got Madison and Everson. Having 3 Leicester feels wrong.
Crippling up on the team that are in the relegation zone. Great shout.
I mean, it's not like we haven't done it before. The last few weeks is going to be balls to the wall. Let's have fun. So we'll see. And I guess I've probably got to pick someone else as well because I'm not getting Iheanacho in. Is it really boring to say Matoma? I've really enjoyed owning him. I love Matoma, and I think he looks awesome every game he plays. He deserves to be getting the points he is. So I think Matoma is going to be my favourite FPL player between now and the end of the season. And he's not leaving my team.
No chance.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. It's been a fun episode, and good luck for this weekend. It's going to be loads of fun.